Hey, Bible lovers, I'm here with Gary Rovarino, and he is with the King James Bible Museum in Arizona. And I am super excited to have him. He's got some interesting perspectives, which we'll get into in the second two parts of the video. But before we dive into what we're going to do, Gary, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Tim, for having me. My name is Gary Rovarino. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, where we are honored to host the 1611 King James Bible Museum. We have one of the world's greatest private collections of Bibles leading up to the 1611 King James Bible and many, many editions thereafter, and many, many, many incredible works that are related to the Bible. We put these on display. Currently, our museum format is a hands-on touring. We will tour you through and take you through a guided, systematic understanding of layouts of these books. And you get to touch them, interact with them. Ever
Wow.
held a Tyndale Bible from the 1500s in your hands? Well, you're going to get to if you come to the museum.
Wow. So do you make people wear gloves, or how do you do that?
No, no such thing. You know, we believe that these Bibles have been held in hands for over 400 years and that they have survived quite well through time. Part of that is the paper being a material, actually, that is very, very enduring and able to sustain handling, as time has shown. So we figure that a few more hands turning pages aren't going to hurt those books.
Yeah. So, wow, that's probably a experience you're going to get unique to that particular museum. So if you are interested in actually being able to put your hands on Bibles that are 400, 500 years old, then this is a really great opportunity for you. This is something I have been looking to see happen for many years, and publishers haven't been willing to commit to it. And that is to give us a King James Bible, 1611, in the original typesetting with the Gothic typeset. And before we started, we were talking about the fact that most publishers will offer this edition, which is actually the 1833 with the Roman typeset. It's the 1611-ish. It's got a lot of the same stuff, but the drop caps are a little bit different. The overall font is different. So, and a lot of times they'll eliminate the front matter in the book as well, the genealogies and all that other stuff, which this one from Thomas Nelson, I really like it, but it is missing that a lot of the front matter in this. So I was really excited when I found you through a Facebook ad,
Awesome.
and the Facebook ad was showing this 1611, and I was like, all right, for real? Are we for real? Is this really the 1611? Is this, or is it one of these
Right.
1833? I would consider it somewhat of a knockoff, but still a very good addition to have. But if you want the original, it's pretty sparse. I believe the King James store has one that's like $1,000. And then I found you, which this one's under $100. And
It
I
is.
was
Yep.
really surprised to see that it was available through a museum. But I was even more surprised when I found out that this is actually the ever famous He version of the 1611 King James. And it has this really beautiful faux leather cover. I love the stamping on the front, stamping on the spine, how it's antique, perimeter stitching, very nice gilding. And it has all of the front matter. It has the genealogies, it has the calendar, it has the to the readers, it has the dedicatory letter to King James. And my favorite thing that it has the original drop caps, the original, that beautiful Gothic typeset. And this is on really nice paper. I don't know. Do you know that? What's the GSM of this paper? Do you know?
I don't know. I can't give you that off the top of my head, but what I can tell you is you basically have choices. One is thinner, one is thicker.
Yeah.
And we have definitely opted the thicker
Mhm.
so that there would be no unnecessary and uncomely bleed through because you
Right.
are dealing with the black letter font with quite a bit of ink.
Mhm. And it's very bold. This Gothic is typeset is very bold, and also there would be no way to retypeset it and line match it and it still be the original. So you're dealing with what it was originally, and I mean this, Gary. I mean this is cool, man.
Well, thank you, Tim. Just to let people know, it did come in to retail well under 100 at
Yeah.
59.99. It also comes in a tan color. I show this right here.
Yeah.
You're holding the brown.
Yeah.
This would be the tan. And it's also available, of course, in a traditional black, which everybody loves,
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
And what I want to call this, Tim, is an uninterrupted 1611 King James Bible from beginning to end. We have put no persuasiveness into this Bible. We believe this Bible carries all the persuasiveness of its own
Hmm.
ability to stand. And so we have just from blank page before the title page and on done a photo reproduction page for page, what we call a facsimile,
Yeah.
a genuine facsimilation of a 1611 King James Key Bible. Let me note one other thing that you're not going to find in any other reprint that I'm aware of, whether you're talking about those 1833s that identify themselves as 1611, is anywhere that the 1611 King James Bible had rubrication, which is the red ink. We have
Hmm.
also preserved that in our copy of the 1611 well. You'll find it in the calendar section with the
Yeah. I
reading
noticed that.
assignments that the King
Yeah.
James Bible translators have assigned to the reader.
Yeah.
We
So,
believe that red rubrication is very, very important theologically. We believe
okay.
that the moves that have been done in this Bible have many, many theological implications. And so being as true to this Bible as we possibly could, apart from using the same paper that the 1611 would have been printed on, we
Yeah.
feel that we have done an honoring work of representing the 1611 King James Bible in
Yeah. I would
reproduction.
agree. I would
Thank you.
agree. And I think that this is such an underappreciated edition because you can get, like, I've got a copy of the Geneva Bible that from Hendrickson, and it's a true facsimile. It's the original font, and even the Matthew Bible, the Tyndale Bible. You can get these from Hendrickson, and they have those original typesets, and some of them have the original colors. And I always wonder because then Hendrickson also does the 1611, which I have a copy of right here. And this 1611 is the 1833. It's the same one that Thomas Nelson puts out. And I
It
appreciate this
is.
one. I appreciate this one. It has a great place in the King James lineage and history, but
It
it's not
does.
what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. And Zondervan puts one out, but Zondervan cuts out the Apocrypha. And, I don't hold the Apocrypha as inspired, but I believe that if it was in the original King James 1611, it needs to be in there when it's reproduced. So I was really disappointed when I bought that one. And come to find out it was missing a piece. So it was like there was no complete one unless you
Mhm.
wanted to buy the really expensive because I think the King James store had one that was somewhat affordable, but it's been sold out for years. And the one they have now is
Yeah,
a
they
big
could be
one.
pretty pricey. The
Yeah.
other drawback to those Bibles is the cheapest that had previously been offered 150, and I think it weighs close to 13 pounds.
Big.
I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
And the binding on it is not very good. We've had many of those, and honestly, pages have fallen out from
Hmm.
use. This, however, is Smith's own binding work that we've done.
Yeah.
The pages are not going to fall out on this. You'll be using this for decades,
Yeah.
absolutely using it for decades. So that really is an accomplishment of a first, I would say, is that we are, as to my knowledge, the first ones to ever print a soft cover, which is
Yeah.
nice that it's a soft cover. You can see how soft it is. A soft cover every day, carry with you, lightweight, under 3 pounds, hold
Yeah.
it in one hand, no problem. Thin line,
Yeah.
1611 King James Bible, true from start to finish.
Yes. And just in case this is the evidence that it's sewn, you can see those threads in there. And just as you said, this is like a standard thin line King James Bible. And when you can compare them, they are essentially the same size. So to find something like this that's actually functional, usable in a pulpit, usable for preaching. Granted, it's going to be a little difficult for those that aren't familiar with this older New English, because this actually isn't Old English. This is Old English is like when you get back into what was his name? New Testament, Wycliffe. When you get back to the Wycliffe not the Wycliffe, is that right? Yeah, the Wycliffe New
Yeah,
Testament.
yeah, John
That
Wycliffe. Mhm.
yeah, that's in the older English, and you can't read this, but I mean I can. I was reading through this just to test my ability to read in this
Mhm.
Gothic, and
How'd you do?
I did pretty good. I
Good.
did pretty good, not bad at all. And I didn't cheat and go to familiar passages, where I'm super familiar with it. I went to difficult places. It's just like I'll just start in Job chapter 16. It says, "Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things." I had to slow down there because the S's look a little funny. "Miserable comforters are ye all. Shall Now here's one I'm having a little trouble with. Shall something words. It looks like BAME, and I'm sure that's not it. Um, have an
It's
end.
most likely vain words, the word
That's what it
vain.
is. There you go.
Yep.
Shall
Amen.
vain words, and because that V is kind of connected, it looks like a B. So shall vain words have an end, or what emboldeneth thee that thou should answereth? So, I mean, you got to slow down a bit. And there may be a word or two where you got to have a little help. But overall, I mean, I was able to read several paragraphs. And yeah, it takes some time, it takes some effort. But I mean,
Let me
this,
give a 20-second crash course on how to read the 1611 King James Bible. Can I?
that sounds awesome. Let's go.
Okay. Okay. First of all, if we read this 1611 and we read a 1769, everything to our ears is going to be the same.
Yes.
Therefore, training wheels, we could say, would be the 1769, where you can put your Bibles side by so that when you reach a word like you reached with vain,
Hmm.
if you can't figure it out, you can use your 1769 to letter and find that when you read your 1611, after about 1 week to 2 weeks, depending on your reading skills, you will be as fluently reading a 1611 as you would the Roman type Bibles of
Yes.
1769 and other King James Bibles that were printed in the Roman typeface. It,
Yeah.
it actually is more of a daunting task looking at than actually passing through the experience of learning how to read it. Now, this is all I use is our 1611 King James Bible. So I am so comfortable reading this font. Our entire church, in fact, we are all 1611 King James Bible users in the church. So I'm preaching from this, and we're all using this to read and follow along, and you will very quickly assimilate to the King's English.
Yeah. So, how did your church get additions to be able to use before you put this into a very manageable format?
To be honest with you and frank, we used the 1833 that you were previously
Okay.
showing. We used that. We have known in our heart as the King James Bible Museum and our church ministry, we have known in our heart that God was calling us to be the ones to do this. And so it was just a matter of time. The museum getting on its feet. It's 2 years old now. And we reached a place where we took this step and produced this Bible. We then rolled from our 1833s that we were using to our 1611s. Now that's even a smaller jump than going from the 1769 to the 1611, because in the 1833, which is that Bible you were showing before,
Mm.
that Bible is going to still have the spellings that you're going to find in the 1611.
Yeah.
Now, that's another way to learn to read your 1611 King James Bible is to get used to the spellings in the 1833 first. Another link between that Bible and the 1611 is the layout. Every verse in that Bible is going to be laid out in the exact same place, line for line, word for word, where it is laid out in the 1611. Do you want me to just share what that 1833 King James Bible really is and its historical placement?
You share whatever you want to share. Go ahead.
That Bible, that Bible is Oxford University's testimony to the 1611 King James He Bible. And what they did is they rebirthed the 1611 King James Bible, or resurrected, we could say, the 1611 King James Bible, declaring its authority among all of the King James Bible translations as the patriarch King James Bible of the entire family. What's interesting to note and very important to note is that we believe that from a theological standpoint, if you think of the scriptures from the Chronicles, that God dwells in the thick darkness, the font here being a very thick, dark font, and that when the 1833 came out, being a mirror of the 1611, that it was the light font of the Roman text, which is a very light, bright font,
Hmm.
which was mirroring Christ as the light to lighten the Gentiles, the
So you got a
light to
really dark
lighten
font here, a lighter
the
font here.
Gentiles. Yeah. Therefore, what you had there in the mirroring is the exact representation of the express image of the Father in the Son. In other words, a work of art was being done by God with the 1611 and the 1833 having this caricature role of the Father and the Son, the thick darkness which the Father dwells in, and the light to lighten the Gentiles in the Roman font, Roman being Gentile. God accompanied, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the same month of November 1833, when that King James Bible came forth, there is a very, very historically famous storm that took place across the world called the Leonid meteor storm, where literally hundreds of thousands of what we would call meteors or asteroid type meteor were showering down from the heavens. Men like Abraham Lincoln, for example, who was a Bible student, was considering what was occurring to be an event from the book of Revelation. That's how profound it was. And it seems to us that God was testifying in that Psalms 19 way, where the heavens declare the glory of God, that he was celebrating the resurrection of the 1611 He Bible through the
So
Son.
is the 1833 also the He Bible?
Yes, it is.
I did not know that. That
Yes, it is. It is
okay.
the He Bible. Yes, we have, and we're privileged to have two first edition 1833 King James Bibles in our museum here, as
Right.
well as our original 1611 King James Bibles that we have.
Okay, and I'm looking
But
up
you,
the Leonid meteor storm of 1833. That
yes,
that's
anyone can go and find videos on it on YouTube. It's not some
yeah,
kind of hidden or obscure event.
yeah.
It was cataclysmic in the minds of the people who were experiencing this across the world. They were thinking that Judgment Day had come. That's how
Mhm.
severe it was. So we like to at the museum the things that are going on in the Bible with the handiwork of God. We like to see God in time, not only in the time of the making of the content of the Bible, not only in the of the writing of the Bible, but even involving himself in the time of the translating of the Bible, the printing and publishings of the Bible. That would be an example where we would say that God was testifying on behalf of the 1833 Oxford King James Bible.
Okay. That's interesting. So you think that every aspect of the print of the 1833 and the 1611 has theological impact
Yes.
down to the darkness of the font. So you had mentioned, and I find this interesting, that the red in the front here also had theological significance. So share that with us.
Yes. What we see God doing everywhere with his works of the living is that he brings everything in as a seed. He grows the seed and he matures it into a harvest. The implication of that in the Bible world would be that God has brought the scriptures into the world as the seed that he has grown through world history and that he's actually taken to a maturity. The implication directly of that is that there is no need to go back, that God has always been going forward with his works, and that when God imparts life, he imparts life with the destiny of maturing it. And so we then would be looking at the maturity of the word of God in the King James Bible. Now, when it comes to the rubrication, which is the red, you can think of rubrication and the word ruby, red
Mhm.
ruby, that rubrication that has taken place in there was spotting for the blood of Christ, to represent the blood of Christ, the blood of the atonement, the blood of the Redeemer. And that as God would then even further along in history, that would grow itself into many King James Bible editions, having its first print in the 1611 to be what we commonly call today the red letter Bibles, the words of Christ in red.
Yeah. Koch was the one that coined that concept.
Yes. And so we believe that God loves and delights to involve himself in his Bible printing business, the
Okay.
Father's business. Along the lines of the red letter Bible, I bet you don't know this. If you do, please correct me. There are green letter Bibles.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard of them. Yes.
Okay. Very, very few people are familiar with that. We have that in our museum as well. And they are green letter Bibles with the words of Christ in green. How interesting is that?
Right.
So we do believe that God's a tremendous artist and that he is omnipresent in all of his workings and actively involving himself in his workings. And that with the red, we see the blood. And then with the green, we see life. The green in the life would be followed by the concept of the red for the atonement. The green would then be the expressing of the regenerating that comes as a result of God atoning the life, the resurrection life that comes forth. Green and life are colors that and words that go together.
Yeah. So we're about to wrap this video up, and then we're going to move into a second topic, but where we're going to talk about the lineage of the King James. And I'm just going to show you my understanding of the lineage. We have the 1611 and the 1833, which you would consider directly related. Fair? And then we
Yes.
have the 1769 that's currently in print, the 1762 called the Cambridge edition. And then in the 1900s, we had what is the Pure Cambridge edition. And what a lot of people don't realize is the Pure Cambridge edition, the only major difference is they capitalize some of the deity pronouns, and there's a couple little changes here and there. Not a whole lot of people print the Pure Cambridge edition, but I do know that Holman does. And the easiest way to check is to go to 1 John and check the word spirit and see if it's capitalized. And if it is, then you know you've got what they call a Pure Cambridge edition. I don't know what makes it pure. I don't know what makes it Cambridge. But I do know that that's what would be considered the King James family, starting with the He Bible and the She Bible. So we're going to sign off now. Let me know what you think about what Gary's had to say so far. I find it pretty fascinating, pretty interesting. I think the work that he's doing, if nothing else, is unique. And the fact that we now have a standard size 1611 King James Bible in its original format, complete with the Apocrypha and all the genealogies and stuff in the front, in what I would consider a really nice edition on really good paper, Smith sewn, perfectly matched up to the original. I just think this is a great tool to have in your library. I highly recommend that you pick one up. They're well under $100. Matter of fact, I think you said they retail for 59 bucks.
$59.99.
Yeah, so just under 60 bucks. I highly recommend you have one in your library. God bless you all. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.